Hey up everybody, welcome back. Just a bits and pieces video this week. I just wanted to let you know that I hadn't expired or anything. Now the more observant amongst you will notice that I have a different tit for today. And this is due to the mathematical debacle in the last video over compression ratios. I don't know if you read the comments afterwards, but I compounded it by getting things completely wrong when it came to doing the maths, but I did warn you about that. Anyway, for those of you who don't know what a titfer is, for instance the people living in the colonies and those too young to have got a decent education, titfer's Cockney rhyming slang. Now you may think of Cockneys just as living in London, but of course they've got to be born within the sound of Bow Bells, one of the big churches in London, and they have a little way of speaking that takes a phrase and then rhymes it with the word you want to say. So titfer comes from tit for tat, hat, and then you get things like, you might say your plates are killing you, which is plates of meat, feet, and there's trouble and strife for wife, and apples and pears for stairs, things like that. There's one Hampton Wick, I'll let you work that out. Anyway, what we're going to do today is have a look at the B44, which is all finished. I want to have a little walk around it because there's a couple of things I want to mention. And I also want to show you another little bit of film. Don't want to turn this into the weather channel, but I do want you to know that I have an excuse for not being in the workshop. And it's this. So here we go with the completed bike. I've got the focus on auto because I'm going to be walking in and out from it, so you'll probably hear the little motor going backwards and forwards. But anyway, bike came out really nicely, as you can see. You may remember we put these later model forks on it, but kept the original front wheel, which has a beautiful polished alloy brake plate. We put alloy mud guards on. The fork brace is Sammy Miller piece. I get these for the trials bikes, and they not only make a really good mount, but as you can see, because they go from side to side, they form a good brace as well. I don't know if I like this focus going in and out, but bear with me. So we did the whole thing with the hang on, I'm going to turn that off. We'll see if I can keep you in focus. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I used the stupid wire headlight things that they came up with, so it's all exactly spot on for the correct forks. The speedometer I had to make a little alloy plate for to mount, and actually I've mounted it on this side because the speedo cable was a little long, and putting it on this side helped with the way it was routed. or routed as it would say here in the States. I had to make up a little bracket to put the Zener diode down there. And for those of you who think the big black thing there is the Zener diode, it isn't. The Zener diode, I don't know if I can zoom you in here, let's have a look, is actually that little brass thing. The big black thing is just simply the heat sink, because the Zener diode takes the extra power and turns it to heat. So that all looks very nice. Use stainless steel fasteners all the way through. The tank, you'll notice, is particularly nice. I seem to remember Tim said that this actually is NOS. This has never been on a bike, so it's a genuine original tank. A little bit of polish in there. The footrests I made for it. You may remember we did one video. I got the dual saddle on. We also have a single saddle for it. Dual saddle was typical aftermarket. I had to modify the brackets a little bit, put spacers in. I'll be honest with you, if you're thinking of doing a saddle, I always like to keep the original base and just get a new cover and foam, because at least you know it's going to fit properly. Right. One of the other things Tim wanted was a little rack. So I made this one up from, actually it started out as one of the sort of loops that go on for the grab rail or whatever it is. So I just, can we bring you in here? Whoop. This is pretty pathetic, isn't it? Anyway, what I did was made it come up at right angles, made a rack, and then a couple of little supports. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention was the exhaust. Brand spanking new, pipe and silencer. When I put the pipe on, of course, the top curve here wasn't quite right, so we had to finagle that a bit, but the worst part was the bracket. That was just so far out, I had to tweak it all the time just to get the exhaust on. And of course with something chrome, particularly with modern chrome, you worry to death that when you start to twist it and move it around, it's going to just flake off. So anyway, I got the exhaust pipe on, and then when the silencer arrived, it wouldn't go on, because this last bend here in the exhaust pipe didn't stick out quite far enough for it to clear the suspension unit. There is a cutout, well not a cutout, a sort of depression in it to fit that. So brand new chrome exhaust pipe, I had to set to, and just there cut a little piece out and bend it outwards. Then the silencer fitted, so that was something. But Tim had got an original, a used mounting bracket, so it was a genuine BSA article, and of course didn't go anywhere near fitting onto the silencer, so I made a new one up out of aluminium, which I think looks nicer anyway. So there's the bike. Let's see if I can come back, keep you in focus. There she is. It really came out nice. We put new alloy rims on and things like that. So just to show I'm not only a painter and a cobbler of things together, let me put the camera down and we'll start it up. So here we go. Now I've got people here in the States that think I'm a miracle worker just because I can start one of these, when all it is they're not using the right technique. One of the main things they tend to do is be on the twist grip all the time, and these, well, most big singles, but particularly the Victors, do not like to have any throttle. It should start purely on the pilot system with the throttle closed. So this is the procedure. Pardon me for teaching you to suck eggs and all that if you know this. Petrol on, flood the carb, ignition on, keep the throttle closed. A lot of people don't know how to use the compression lever. I've had people who thought you kick it over all the time with the decompressor out. But you take it up to top dead centre, use the decompressor to go over compression, and then ha-ha! There you go. Of course, it had to take 2 kicks instead of 1 as usual. That's just because you're watching. Alright, let's move on to something else. Just to keep you up to date on things, I've put a larger carb on my BSA. I was talking to Roger Annable, who is the US importer for OKO. Actually, I think in one of the earlier videos I said UK importer, but he's the US importer down in Maryland. And we were talking about the 300 conversion and what have you. And he put one of these on his BSA twin, 650, single carb. And he'd used this bigger carb and what have you. So I got him to send me a 26mm, and he put some jets in that he thought would be about right, and sent me some extra ones, and of course I have lots. Now, naturally, with the couple of feet of snow we had, which by the way came in 2 solid days. It started on, what was it, Sunday afternoon and went right through till Tuesday, never stopped. Dick, you remember Dick? He's the chap who doesn't watch the videos all the way through. He's down in Pennsylvania. He said he got 3 feet in the 2 days. But then you know what old fellas are like, he was probably exaggerating. So anyway, I put a larger carb on, and I haven't had a chance to jet it up much, and obviously I haven't had a chance to take it out. But let's see what happens with it anyway. Well, that doesn't sound too bad for starters, so in the coming days, once the snow is gone, I'll get it out and we'll sort the carburation out and see if this 26mm does make it run nicely. One thing on this, I'll do another little bit of teaching Granny to suck eggs. I want to just show you something about tuning carbs. Let me move the camera. When I've had people that wanted me to look at their carbs because they weren't running right, weren't running cleanly, they always keep talking about, oh, it's at this revs or it's in that gear or whatever. And I keep telling them it's got nothing to do with the revs. If you're at half throttle in top gear and half throttle in first gear, then obviously the revs are going to be different. The carburetor is divided up into definite sections. There's the pilot system, which works from close throttle to about 1/8 throttle opening. Then there is the throttle slide cutaway, or in the case of the OKOs, the actual choke size, which takes you from about 1/8 to 1/4. Then from 1/4 to 3/4, it's all metered by the needle and the needle jet. And then 3/4 to full is the main jet. Now, each one of those stages bleeds over a little bit and affects the next one, but that's how you need to do it. So what you want to do is put some tape on your twist grip and on the rubber, and you mark it at closed throttle and fully open, and then mark on it 1/8, 1/4, 3/4, and then you put a mark on here to coincide with the start. And then when you're out testing it, if you start to get into the bad patch, you look down and you say, oh look, I'm at half throttle. You know it's going to be your needle or your needle jet, or generally your needle jet you don't change, it's just the shape and length of the needle. Similarly, if it's all just in there, in that first 1/8, then it's your pilot jet, which you should have found out from the way it idled, the tick over. So that's the way you do it. A couple of bits of tape and just mark it out so that you know when your throttle closed, coming up to the end of the pilot circuit, coming up to the end of the throttle cutaway, coming up to the end of the needle, and then the section that main jet covers. So there you go. As I say, another one of those things that you probably know, but if you didn't, a little bit of information for you. And of course it helps bulk up this video. Alright people, that's it for today. Probably the next thing will be when I can take this out and do the jetting, and we can see how this 300 conversion really works. So until then, look after yourselves.